don't change your colour or don't try and turn it up and down. This is the colour of it. We've got a bit of sun and this is what happens. But hope you're all okay out there. I'm here live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Tuesdays are my request evening. Thursdays are stories I like to bring to you. Want to start, I don't stop, so don't worry about me chopping and changing and chatting while the live's going on. I'll literally just hang on, wait for a few people to join, and then I'll start the story. It does also get uploaded onto my pre-recorded stories if you don't want to hear me nattering. And I'm over on the TikTok. I am Jess Rose 5472, I believe, and my Patreon is patreon.com/Jess Rose 5472. Now that I've got all that out the way, I'll just say hi to the guys in the live, and then I'll start. Hey sis, hey Warwick, hey Phil, how are you all? Have you all had a fabulous weekend? Do you know what I forgot to tell you all on Thursday? Guess whose birthday it was on Saturday? She kept it quiet. I said, well, I don't know if she did, because I don't know if it was mentioned in the comments, but it was your moderator extraordinaire's, the Siren herself's birthday on Saturday. Yes, it was. And I completely forgot to mention it. So I'm going to sing a happy birthday very quickly now. Did you not say anything? Ha! Well, I've called you out now. Kicked myself afterwards. I was like, oh my God. I think because I didn't say what's everyone doing the weekend like I normally would, I think that's why it didn't come into my head. But happy birthday to you. Happy belated birthday to you. Even happy birthday, dear the Siren, Tiffany moderator extraordinaire. Happy birthday to you. Mwah! How's that? How's that? I should have done it on Thursday. I know I should have, but it's a belated singing. Although I did sing on the day. So I hope you had a fabulous day. But did you get very drunk? Did you get very tipsy? Oh, did they miss what I just said? Was that missed? I think they just missed it. I think. Have you seen the colour? Don't change the colour on your phones or on your devices. This for Phil. Yeah, I look like a crab stick today, Phil. Bit burnt in the sun. Did he really? Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. That's the best. That's the best birthday time, getting carried home. That's ace. I think it was Mum's birthday. I ended up getting carried home. I do like to do that on someone else's birthday. It's the singing a blessing or a curse. I see it as a blessing, Warwick, because if I could sing, look, I could be famous now, and it would have ruined everything because I wouldn't have been here. So it's a blessing that I can't actually sing. That's what I think anyway. Yes, you are rather red, but I don't know. I don't know if I will this time. I don't know if the camera's showing exactly how red I am, because I've had to kind of. This is actually with makeup, so it's very red underneath. It's very sore. I wasn't even out long in it either. It's like it's really bad. It's really bad. I try to be really careful as well. The legs, my knees have got it. The knees got it for some reason. I didn't have the knees out. I tried the legs, but just the knees got it. I don't know what that is. So yes, Phil, probably both. I think it's a bit of both. Looking burnt around the neck. Warwick, all the way to here. Whole thing, all of it, and then the knees. It's just, it is, when I say crab stick, I'm not exaggerating. There's just a lot of red and white going on. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. I don't even think when it goes brown, it'd be a good look, because there's so many bits. It's just a very odd look going on. Not intentionally. Let me show you. It's massive. Where am I? There it is. There it is. And you know what? I found right, okay. So I went to the doctors on, when did I go? I last saw you Thursday, didn't I? So Friday. Let me update you. No, I didn't, Phil, because I'm stupid. I'm so stupid. I'm so dopey. No, I didn't put sun cream on. I never learn. I don't know if you remember, I had what looked like a black eye last year from the sun. I never learn. And they're starting to swell as it is. So, yeah, I'm 46 now. I'm never going to learn. But I went to the doctors on Friday because I was called in. And I was like, oh, what's this? So, I still have a Baker's cyst on my knee. That's still chugging along. But I also have arthritis. I always have. I also have arthritis. And they believe that's what this is. They believe that's what this lump is now. And because they've given me 2 steroid injections, they're saying they're going to have to operate on the arm. So the arm's got to be operated on, but the knee, they're not going to touch for a while. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. But yes, so my bone's dodgy and got arthritis. But the liquid is a Baker's cyst. It's all very attractive, guys. Oh, no, don't worry. I was thinking it'd be something really sinister because they called me in. And as we all know, you can't get in. So, yeah, you both man. Yes, we are, Phil. Yes, we are. But, yeah, so that's where I am. So, it's a lot going on. Let's hope they don't amputate. They're not going to amputate it, Warwick. They're not going to amputate it at all. But it's, I don't know if you can see it. It's that, hold on. There. I think that shows it more. This is elbow, proper elbow. And this is extra elbow. But it's not, that doesn't hurt. It's this, the actual forearm. My forearm looks really big like that. I'll bring it back. That looks massive. But, yeah, it's really sore. But anyway, so that's me. That's me falling apart, guys. But how are we all there? Are we all healthy? God's sake. Ridiculous. I can't believe how much I'm falling apart lately. But anyway, that's all fun. It didn't stop me having a drink on Friday. It didn't stop me having a game of pool. So, what can I say? There we go. Right, what was I going to say? I was going to say something then. And they're not going to amputate either. Has anyone heard this story? Do we know this one? I know it's not a Thursday. I know it's not. Oh, that's very sweet. Just from here up, just from this up, anything down, it's like, it's just let it go. Just let it go. It's just not, it's irredeemable now. But this, maybe if I can get the red down, maybe it's still chugging along, kind of. But yes, I know it's Requests Live Tuesday. I understand that. And I know Thursdays are normally the ones. Steve said he still would. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised he can see me because I'm shining off your devices, probably. Tyler's still, oh God. Oh my God. I hope that doesn't happen again. That was so bizarre. But yeah, Thursdays are normally stories I like to bring to you that you might not have heard of. Now, I don't know if you would have heard of this one because it's a very old one, but I've known about it for ages and I thought, now's the time. I'm going to bring it to you. And I think I've set it out where it's not going to be too choppy and changing. That's what I'm thinking anyway. Because a lot of mine lately, they're all back and forth. So this is the one I'm going to bring to you tonight. Don't know if you've heard of it, but it's horrific. It's awful. I'm going to warn you. I warn you. There's no need for a trigger. We're not gonna get triggered. I don't think so anyway. I don't think so. But yeah, it's awful. It's an awful one for you guys to know. Nope, I haven't. What haven't you done? What have you not done? Nope, you haven't what? Haven't what? Tell me. Tell me. If you could see what I'm doing now, I'm ripping pieces of paper off because they're driving me crazy. Nope, you haven't what? Tell me. Tell me what you haven't. Oh, sorry. Do you know what it was? The edges of my paper were catching my eye. That's where that's completely distracted. Ridiculous. I'm so sorry. It's the sun. It's gone to my head, man. I'm like, ugh. Anyway, do you know what I've been watching a lot of as well? Don't know if you guys have ever used to watch it. Did you ever used to watch Banged Up Abroad? You know, with the Egypts that someone will come up to them and go, "Oh, just stick that in your suitcase for me, won't you?" Have you watched that? You were so invested in what I hadn't done. I know. I was so confused. I was like, what have you not done? You've normally done everything, so I'm very interested. But do you ever remember that one, Banged Up Abroad? Is it just the three of us tonight, guys? I think it's just the three of us this evening. You're going to have to keep yourselves occupied, I think. Or you could actually listen to me. You could actually follow the story tonight. Yes, I do. Yeah, I started getting into that again, Banged Up Abroad. Can you still give a trigger if the A word is... That's not going to be mentioned, Warwick, I promise. Trigger warnings on allowed. Well, there's not going to be one tonight. I shouldn't have said anything. It's Tuesday. Haley will have the boys. That's okay. That's okay. Do you know what? It makes it easier. Makes it easier because I know you all get on and you might actually listen maybe for a second. It's great. I don't mind. I don't mind that sort. I know who's there. And I'm not going to get nervous. I get quite nervous, guys, if there's more than two of you. I get very nervous. I start to get quite flustered. That's when you'll see me rubbing my chin. Have you been Banged Up Abroad team? If she has, I don't know about it, Warwick. She's kept it very quiet. So I don't believe she has, but she can fill you in on that because if she has, I don't know about it. Anyway, I'm going to start my lovely guys. Do you know what I was about to say? I was about to say my lovelies. And I've realised that's a saying of somebody else's on the YouTube. So I can't be tempted to do that. I used to say that. I used to say my lovelies. I say it like in my personal, but I don't say it on here anymore. Anyway, let's go. Let's do it. So, oh God, I've got to do my new intro. Not my new intro, my other intro. My second intro. Okay, are we ready? Let's go. What am I saying? Good evening, everyone. Welcome. No, it's not. It's from East is East. No, I know that's where it's from, and you know that's where it's from. But it got taken. Look here. It got stolen from us, and I can't do it anymore. I can't. I just can't. I can't do it. I just can't because no one will know. No one will know that's where it's from. Right, let me carry on. I was that close to starting. Right, okay, let's go. That was a great. There's a lot going on with the face tonight. There's a lot of dents and stuff. I don't know what's gonna happen. I think it's gonna swell up. Anyway. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, True Crime with Jess. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Tuesdays are my request evening. Thursdays are the stories that I like to bring to you. Oh, I've lost my bearings there. Oh God, let me start again. I completely lost it. I don't even know why I lost it there. Okay, where are we? 14:23. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna do it now. Let's go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, True Crime with Jess Rose. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Tuesdays are my request evening. Thursdays are stories I like to bring to you. I am here live on a Tuesday and Thursday, but the stories do go up on my pre-recorded videos at the weekend. I'm also over on the TikTok, and that's Jess Rose 5472. Or you could join my Patreon, patreon.com/Jess Rose 5472. Or you could subscribe. I'd love that. Or you could just watch me. that'd be great too. I'd really appreciate if you could pop a like in there. That'd be amazing. But now that I've got all that out the way, let's get on with the story. Let's start the story now. It is awful. I have titled it Harrowing because it absolutely is. I'd heard about this story quite a while ago, and then came back to it a few days ago, and I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't done this one. So I'm going to do it for you this evening. So it's the harrowing Joan, Michelle, and Christe Rogers story. Okay? So let's begin. So where we're going to begin at the story. Now, the story, it is a little bit of a different one, how I'm going to bring it to you. But I've tried to do it in as much order as I possibly can. Okay? So we're going to go to Sunday, the 4th of June, 1989. It is an older story, okay? It is in America. An American story, should I say. So we are, like I say, the 4th of June, 1989. And the Coast Guard in Tampa, Florida, as I've said, it's an American story. The Coast Guard finds the body of 3 women in Tampa Bay. Okay. Now, what they find, now the women are found, they're not all found together, obviously, but they're found literally yards from each other. Okay. And when they get them out of the water, they see they have duct tape that they've been bound with. And they were weighted down with cinder blocks. And I've seen them. They're massive. Okay? Right. So when the autopsy is done on these 3 women, now the pathologist believed that the bodies had been in the water maybe around 4 days. So because it's June, it's warm, it's Florida, the water's very warm, the rate of decomposition was to a point where they couldn't, it was very hard to recognise these women, and they had a real battle to find out who they are, okay? But in the autopsy, they did find that all 3 women had water in their lungs. So it meant that when they went into the water, and like I say, weighted down with these cinder blocks, they were alive. So they did drown. Okay. Now, police at that moment start looking into any missing persons, but they don't have any luck at all. Okay. Until Thursday, the 8th of June, 1989. So 4 days later. Okay. And the manager of a local Days Inn motel calls into the police in Tampa Bay, okay? And he says that one of his cleaners on the 1st of June, 89, so a week previous, had gone into one of the rooms there that had been booked by a mum and her 2 daughters. And she'd cleaned and she'd made the beds and stuff, and their suitcases were there, and they had stuff on the vanity, and it was quite obvious they were using the room. And I believed he said they'd only booked in that day, so the 1st of June. And when the cleaner went back, because they wasn't sure they're still there, they knew they hadn't checked out, the cleaner goes back into the room a week later, and everything is how she'd seen it originally. And she's very confused by it. She's like, nothing's been touched, nothing's been moved, the beds haven't been slept in. So she goes and reports this to her manager, who then calls the police. Okay, so when the police go to the Days Inn, they find out that the mum and the 2 daughters are Joan Rogers and her daughters Michelle Rogers, who was 17, and Christe, who's 13. All right. Now, like I say, they booked in on the 1st of June. The cleaner had gone in, I think I said the same day, but the cleaner had gone in the following morning, seen everything laid out. She'd made the beds, everything else. But then when she went back a week later, she realised everything was how it was. You know, everything was how she'd left it. Okay. So the police go to look at the room itself, and they believe that it looks like someone who'd maybe just gone out to dinner. Okay. But where had they gone? This was the question. So they start getting fingerprints. Okay. So they get a scene tech, a crime scene tech, to come in and start dusting for fingerprints, and they find some fingerprints on the toothpaste. Okay. Now, the prints do belong to Joan Rogers. Okay. And like I say, who had been there with her 2 daughters, Michelle and Christe. Okay. Now, these mum and her 2 daughters came from Wilshire, Ohio. Never pronounced that correctly. Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about the Rogers family. Okay. Now, Joan and Hal Rogers. So we know Joan is the girl's mum. Her husband is Hal. Now, they met each other in high school. Okay. Just as they get coming up to their senior year. Okay. But relationship happens quite quickly. Joan gets pregnant while she's still in her senior year. Okay. So given the fact, you know, it's the 70s, they're like, right, okay, let's get married. So they do get married, and a couple of years later, so they get married, they have Michelle, and a couple of years later, they welcome Christe. Now, the family themselves, they live and run a dairy farm, okay, and they all chip in, Hal and Joan especially, but the girls do chip in after school. Now, the girls themselves, very popular girls. It's a small community that they live in. The family, you know, are very well liked, very well known, and like I say, it seems like perfect little life for them. Now, Hal's brother, John Rogers, he moves in with the family. Okay, when the girls, Michelle's about 13, which would mean that Christe's knowing, I believe. There's obviously 4 years between the girls. Sorry, 3 years between the girls, so she'll be 10. Sorry, ignore that. Okay. So he moves in and helps out on the farm, and it seems like it's okay. But then after a few years of him living there, so it comes up to 1988, a roommate of his ex-girlfriend, so I'm talking about John, I'm talking about Hal's brother, the girl's uncle would be Joan's brother-in-law, okay? His ex-girlfriend's roommate accuses him of rape, all right? And so when the police start investigating, they find videos that he's made of him assaulting this girl. And as they're looking through these videos and audio and pictures, they also come across the pictures of a young girl, a very young girl. And it turns out to be Michelle Rogers, Hal's oldest daughter, Joan's obviously oldest daughter, his own niece. And obviously the police approach her, and she admits that he's been abusing her literally since he moved in, from when she was 13 until she was 16. And she's obviously very distressed, very, very upset. He's arrested straight away. Now, she was, like I say, distraught, and the prosecution didn't feel, you know, she could go through with the trial. Now, because they had so much evidence on the ex-girlfriend's roommate, the girl he'd also sexually assaulted, they had enough to go on. So he was found guilty of her rape and locked up. I believe he got about 20 years. So that was the uncle. But then you've got the fallout from that. You know, Hal has to live with the fact that his own brother, under his own roof, has been molesting his daughter for years. Okay? So it's a real big fallout within the family. Now, it turns out that Hal and John's mum, which would be Michelle and Christy's grandmother, she didn't believe Michelle. I find that so odd. She didn't believe her. She believed her son. So it was all a lie. It was all made up, apparently. So they've got that to contend with. And then they've got the gossip of all the, the community. Like I say, it's a very close community, which is amazing when things are going well. But when things start to go downhill, well, yeah, you probably wish you did live in a big city where everyone kind of doesn't know everyone. So it's really, really a sad situation, okay? So they go through this for the following year. Obviously, he's locked up and everything else. And it comes to the 26th of May, 1989. And what Hal had said was, look, I think you should take the girls away with you, to Joan. They'd never been away before. They'd never been on, out of Ohio. Ohio? I can't pronounce that state. And he thought it would be really, really good for the girls now because they run a dairy farm. He couldn't go as well, of course, but they left the decision down to the girls about where they were going to go. Now, they couldn't afford flights. I mean, it was a dairy farm, but they were by no means well off in any sense of the word. So they couldn't afford flights to go where they wanted to go. So he said, well, wherever you're going, you have to be prepared to drive. So the girls were kind of really excited, like, where should we go? Michelle really needed, this breakaway. And they decided on Florida. Okay? So, like I say, on the 26th of May, 1989, off they head, for their first holiday ever. And of course they were sad that their dad couldn't go with them. But they also understood, who's going to run the farm? What did he say? The cows aren't going to milk themselves, okay? So off they go and they head to Orlando, all right? So the first couple of days they go to Orlando Universal Studios. They go to Disney World. They really make the most of this holiday that they're having. Now, after a few days, they then decide to head to Tampa, okay, in Florida, okay. So Hal was expecting his wife and two girls. He was expecting to be back around the sort of the 5th of June mark, 4th of June. Now, he thought, when they didn't return, he was like, well, they've obviously decided to have a few extra days. This is 1989, there's no mobiles. You're not emailing each other to say where you are. They'd sent a couple of postcards, but that was about it. So he just presumed they decided to stay a bit longer. He wasn't overly worried. But when he'd heard nothing and they hadn't returned by the 9th of June, okay, which is 5 days after these 3 bodies had been found in Tampa Bay, okay, he files a missing persons report, all right. Now, he then, back in Tampa, the police are obviously still looking like what's happened to this mum and her 2 girls. Okay, they'd got in touch with Hal by now because, like I say, they'd found out who it was. Sorry, let me go back. Let me reverse back a little bit. When he reported them missing, Now, don't forget, the police in Tampa had already checked for missing persons. So when Hal then put out the missing persons report for his wife and his 2 girls, this flagged up. They're like, oh, we think it's them. So it's confirmed it is them, okay? And Hal's notified. He's absolutely devastated. Now, they then start looking at Hal. Like, this bloke hasn't been through enough in the past year. And they start looking at him, okay? So he has got an airtight alibi. He was on the farm. He was nowhere near them. Ohio and Florida are nowhere near each other. He couldn't have got there. You know, he's got an airtight alibi. So that's quickly put to bed, all right? Now, Joan's car... Now, I keep calling her Joan, but she's known as Jo, okay? So Jo's car was found abandoned at a boat dock, all right? And that's about a mile from the motel that they'd been staying in, all right? So when the police get there and they start looking around the car to, you know, just to try and find something, like, what happened to this mum and her 2 girls? They're on holiday. They're in this beautiful, the sunshine state of Florida. What has happened to this mum and her 2 girls? How have they ended up from being on this amazing little holiday to being found weighted down with cinder blocks in Tampa Bay? What happened? So they, as they're looking around the car, they find like a travel brochure, and they find the Days Inn, which is the motel they were staying at. They find some stationery, like some paper, with the Days Inn logo at the top. And there's some writing on there, okay? Now, written on this paperwork is directions to the motel. There is also directions to the boat dock, okay? In Joan's handwriting, also written on there, is blue with white. She kind of done it as she wrote blue W/white. And because they're on a boat dock, apparently a lot of the boats in the Tampa Bay area were blue and white. So they just automatically assumed, right, she's referring to a boat. They're at a boat dock. There's also directions to the hotel, what's going on. So they're kind of trying to put 2 and 2 together, and they're thinking, right, did they get lost? They've got directions from somebody. Did they not know how to get back to their hotel? Because we know they booked in, but had they got lost going around and they needed to make their way back? Look, they're trying to piece this all together, but they also noticed some other writing on there that didn't appear to be Joan's. It didn't appear to be any of theirs. And so they, you know, they were wondering, well, whose writing is this? So when also from the motel room, they find snapshots of their holiday, and they find 2 pictures that are believed to have been taken on the 1st of June 1989, okay? And one of them is of Michelle. I've seen the photo. It does look like she's rummaging in her suitcase. Her hair's a bit wet. It looks like, you know, you don't know what she's doing, but she just sort of looks quite like they've kind of sniped her, because she's sort of like, she's not posed for the picture. And then there's another photograph that looks like it's been taken from within, so inside the hotel room, looking out, and it's like there's a photo of the sunset, and those are the 2 photos they find. So now they can place them. They know they booked into the hotel about 12:30 p.m. on the 1st of June. They can place them there, all right? People saw them around the motel throughout that day, but no one saw, they saw them leave, but no one saw them come back, all right? And we know that the cleaner, when she came in, nothing had been moved, all right? So it is like they've gone out for dinner, but they haven't returned. That's that's where the police are too. They're like, where did they go? Who did they meet? Where the end result is they've ended up drowned in the Tampa Bay. Where is the connection? Okay. So weeks start to go by. All right. So Hal's losing his mind. He's just lost. Now, don't forget, a year beforehand, he loses his brother to prison because his brother has been molesting his daughter. And now he's found out that his wife and his 2 daughters are now dead. He doesn't know what happened to them. He knows it was obviously very sinister, but he doesn't know who done it, what happened. He must have been losing his mind. I've seen an interview with him, and he says he did say, you know, if he couldn't get through a day, he'd just try and get through 5 minutes at a time. He wasn't sleeping, so he'd just go into other people's homes and just sleep on their sofas, because I presume he just didn't want to be alone. I can't imagine what this man was going through. And then he was being looked at like he was a suspect. Just absolutely awful. Now, the police offer a $5,000 reward. So that gets put out to the public, okay? They bring in a profiler to profile who could have done this to this mum and her 2 daughters, who possibly could have done this to them, okay? And the profiler suggests that it's just a normal, inconspicuous male, middle-aged, knows the area, or certainly lives in the area, very aware of the area, maybe lives or works there. She says that it appears that this was definitely planned, because it was 3 women, 3 people that had been killed, that she believes that he'd done it before. This is the profile she's laying out. The police are also looking into the postcards that Joe and the girls had sent back to Hal, just trying to find something, some connection. What happened to this mum and her 2 daughters? And they're just hitting a brick wall. Now, there's a policeman called Glenn Moore, okay? Now, when I've watched the documentary, and he does seem like a very strict Christian, okay? Now, he's on the case, okay, and he's investigating it, and he puts it across that they're out to catch a demon. And what he says, angels and demons are at a heightened time of battle over the souls of men. It was very deep, but he really wanted to. He saw this as being so sinister, so brutal, so beyond what he'd come across. He didn't become obsessed, but he kind of did. He wanted to find out who had done this, okay, to these very... I think everyone was just so disheartened that this mum and her 2 daughters had come to Florida on this holiday, and this is what had happened to them, you know, and they just wanted to resolve it for Hal, you know, for them, for the victims themselves. Okay, now he'd go back to the motel, you know, time and time again, just to see if he'd missed anything. He'd run the route from the hotel to the boat dock, you know, where her car was found. He just kept running that route just to see. He's got to be missing something, all right? 4 months go by. I can't imagine how I was feeling, but 4 months go by, okay? And it turns out that 2 weeks before the murder of Joe and her girls, a Canadian woman who was also on holiday in Florida had been raped on a blue and white boat in Tampa Bay, okay? Now, what had happened, the police obviously, when they hear about this, they're like, right, okay, this has got to be connected. There's too many coincidences here, okay? So they interview the woman. They actually have to go to Canada to interview her. And the woman says, look, there was a middle-aged man that approached her and her friend, all right? And he seemed very friendly. He said he had a boat. He offered to take her out to see the sunset. Well, he offered to take them both out. Her friend didn't want to go, though. So she was like, well, I really want to go, you know. So her friend's like, go on, you carry on. I'll wait here. So her friend actually waits on the dock. And she goes off with this man into a boat. I don't know. But all I can think, it was the 80s, you know, people are very trusting. I don't know. But she gets on the boat with this guy, all right? So she says that when they were out, he was still quite friendly, but then he switched. He just switched up on her. And all of a sudden, he duct tapes her, bounds her, and basically threatens her with being thrown overboard and says the sharks will eat her. Basically put the fear of God in this woman to the point where she was just like, okay, I'll do what you want me to do. Okay, and that was it. So she just went along with it. The police do believe that the reason he brought her back was that he remembered that her friend was on the dock. It was like, she said something switched again. It was like something switched back, and he brought her back. Okay? When he dropped her off, he sped off in his boat, and off he went and just disappeared into the night. So when she explains all this to the police, they're like, well, this has got to be our guy. It has to be. It has to be. So she helps a police artist do like a composite sketch of the rapist, all right? So when they release this sketch to the public, hundreds of leads are reported, hundreds of leads come through, but it just doesn't go anywhere. It just doesn't. And a whole year goes by. It's hard to believe that. That's what's crazy to me. It's really hard to believe, like a whole year goes by. Now, one thing she did say, she says he had this blue and white boat, but she believes he also had a Jeep Cherokee. So she's give that information across. She's done the sketch. So this poor woman who'd been through this, she really did try to give as much information as she could. And even with the leads, like I say, it doesn't come to anywhere, all right? And Hal, bless him, he's still having to deal with people looking at him in the town, like brother type deal, and the police, while they're still looking now, although he had an alibi, they look at his bank records and they notice that he'd taken out $7,000 around about the time of the murder. And I don't know what were they thinking. He put a hit on his wife and girls. I don't know. But when they turned up and they said, you took out £7,000, where did that go? And he was just, matter of fact, he says, well, he had £1,000 in his wallet and there was £6,000 in his car. So it was to pay for some sort of equipment on the farm, but he still had it. He hadn't spent it. He could account for it. And they just knew it wasn't him. They exhausted all possibilities that it could possibly be the husband. But they always have to start that way. So Hal was kind of no longer a suspect. But like I say, the community already had him banked rights. It's a real shame. It's a real shame. But they just did, okay? So, like I say, years gone by and a new team is brought, begins looking into the crime, headed by Glenn Moore. Do you remember the detective from a year previous? So he gets a whole new team together, okay? He really wants to resolve this. And this team comes together on the 1st of June 1990, so a year from the date, okay? So they go back and they start again. And they're like, we've got to have missed something. We have to have. So they go back to the brochure. And you remember I mentioned the brochure and the days in paperwork that was in Joe's car. Okay. believe it or not, this wasn't fingerprinted at the time, all right? So when they do dust it for fingerprints, now they'd fingerprinted the room, but they hadn't fingerprinted the car and these brochures with this handwriting on it, handwriting that some of it didn't belong to Joe, all right? So when they do it, they notice a palm print that isn't Joe's and it isn't either of the girls, and they're like, right, okay, whose is that and whose is the other writing? Okay, they feel like they're getting a little bit closer, and they do start to believe now that they maybe had gone for dinner that night. So they were in the room, the picture of Michelle in the suitcase, her hair's wet, looks like perhaps she's been in the shower, and they're getting ready to go out to dinner. So now they're starting to think, as a family, had they booked in that afternoon, they'd potted around, then they'd gone for dinner, but then they couldn't work out how to get back to the motel. So had someone saw them, possibly looking a little lost, and offered to help them. This is how they're trying to piece this all together. So remember also, we got the blue and white boat, blue and white that's written on this paperwork. Now, there's a woman who comes into play now called Joan Steffi, all right? Now, when the composite sketch was put out to the public, she recognised that sketch, and she believed it was a man who lived 2 doors down from her, okay? She always thought he was a bit creepy. She always thought he looked at people a bit, well, women, sorry, not people, women, a bit too long. He looked at girls a little bit too lustful. You know, he was just very, very creepy to her. But when she approached a couple of her friends to tell them, look, I think this is him, this sketch, I'm pretty sure it's him, they were like, you can't do that. It doesn't really look, it's not 100% match, really. And you could ruin his life. Now, this neighbour worked at an aluminium company, and they were like, you can't do it, you can't do it. So she didn't say anything to anybody, but she was fairly certain it's her neighbour. So now 3 years go by. Okay, we're now at 1992. All right. There's a show called Unsolved Mysteries, all right? I do vaguely remember it's quite an old show. But with the help of Glenn, Detective Glenn, he gets everything together, and they release this episode of Unsolved Mysteries, and they put all the information they can into this episode just to get the public involved again. Like, say 3 years have gone by, people have forgotten about it. So he also releases the brochure with the handwriting on, the handwriting that didn't belong to Jo or either of her girls, okay? So again, they get an influx of calls and everything else. So there's a lot of leads these police have got to follow up, because it really does. You know, people are like, oh, it could be so-and-so, it could be so-and-so, as these things do. Well, Joan Steffi, the neighbour that I mentioned, she sees the handwriting, and she knows, she recognises it, and she goes next door to her neighbour, not the girl we're talking about, but her next door neighbour, and she goes, show me that receipt you had from the neighbour. I'm going to tell you his name now. And when she looks at a receipt that has been given to her next door neighbour for a job that has been done for him, she says her stomach just dropped, because the handwriting on the receipt matched the handwriting that had been released on this show on the brochure that had been found in Joe's car. All right. So she gets in touch with the police. She tries to tell them. Now, because there were so many leads, it took the police quite a while to get back to her. And eventually she's like, look, I think this is the guy. And she faxes the receipt over to see if it to match for the brochure they've got, and it's a little bit hard to see, so they go out and they collect it. As soon as Detective Moore sees that receipt and the writing on the receipt compared to the brochure, he's like, who's the guy? The man's name is Oba Chandler. All right. Now, at the time when they get the receipt and they get the brochure, they send that off to a handwriting expert. All right. Comes back very quickly that it's a match. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about Oba Chandler. All right. At this time, he's 46 years old. His nickname was Obi, and he was born on the 11th of October, 1946. Okay. He was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's just purely coincidence that he was from where Joan and the girls were from. That's pure coincidence, okay? Now, Oba was, or Obi, as he was nicknamed, because his dad was also Obi Chandler. So he was like Obi Chandler Jr., so they called him Obi. He was the fourth of 5 children. Now, it was a perfectly normal upbringing to begin with, but when he was 10 years old, he actually found his dad who'd hung himself in the basement. So that's harrowing for a 10-year-old. You know, that's awful. It really is. It's awful, okay? But he starts to get in trouble pretty much soon after that. Pretty soon after that. He really goes off the rails. Apparently before then, he was quite a sweet kid. But seeing what he saw just did something, okay? And he like I say, started getting in trouble quite soon afterwards, but with the police. He was known to the police by the age of 13, all right? Now, at this point, he had a really long rap sheet, you know, mainly counterfeiting, burglary, armed robbery. You know, he wasn't a really nice guy. Had a rap sheet that got the length of your arm. All right. Now, one of the burglaries that he'd done, it was said that him and his pal had gone into the house of a couple, and while the pal was tying up the husband, he took the wife into a room. He'd made her strip and then started running the barrel of his shotgun across the stomach. Just real weird behaviour, okay? Just a real nasty piece of work he'd grown into, all right? Now, somehow, some way, he'd managed by this point to be on his 5th marriage. And he had 8 children across these marriages. I don't know how he'd managed to get 4 women to marry him previous to that, let alone be on his 5th, but that's what he said. So when he married his 5th wife, he'd moved to Tampa, Florida, okay? And this was in 1988, okay? Now, remember the rape victim from Canada who'd been taken out on his boat, if you remember all the information she'd given, she described the boat, she described the car. Now, it turns out he didn't have the boat anymore, but he did own a white and blue boat. He did own a Jeep Cherokee. Okay? So, it's all sort of, everything's pointing at this guy. Okay? Now, what they'd done was checked his mugshot against the composite sketch. And you can see it. Now, I feel sorry for Joanne Steffi, the neighbour, who'd year beforehand had seen that sketch and had been like, that's him. And she'd been convinced by people you can't do that because the sketch genuinely does look like him. The Canadian rape victim genuinely did a good job when she described him because it does look like him. Okay? So they do this. Now, he'd actually moved house since, so he would no longer live 2 doors down from Joanne. But he hadn't moved far at all. He'd only moved a mile down the road. Okay. So they start looking for him, then they start following him, okay, and just seeing what he's doing before they pick him up. Now, they've got nothing on him with regards to the murder of Jo and her girls, but they can get him on the rape of the Canadian girl. There's so much evidence pointing to him now. They can pick him up for that, all right? So they go after him for the rape of her, and when they pick him up, no reaction. None. Now, this is years, 3 years they've been after this guy. 3 years after this elusive devil. And when they pick him up, he gives them nothing. He's just, there's nothing. Obviously, he denies it. He when he's banged to rights over the rape victim, he says, well, all right, I did take her out of my boat, but it was consensual. That's his kind of argument against it. All right. But they're like, no, we're not having this. We know it wasn't. You know, she testifies against him. But it takes another 2 years to get all the evidence they need together to be able to charge him with the murder of Jo, Michelle, and Christe. All right. And the trial goes ahead on the 19th of September, 1994. All right. 5 years after Jo and her 2 daughters were found in Tampa Bay. All right. Now I'm going to explain to you what they believe happened. Okay. Now, like I say, when Jo, Michelle, and Christe had booked in to the Days Inn Motel when they'd got to Tampa, they booked in, they quite excited, they'd gone to a few places around there, and then they decided, as they thought had happened, they decided to go to dinner. So the photo that had been taken showing Michelle with her wet hair, they were getting ready to go out for dinner. So it's believed that on the way back, they did get lost. They weren't far away. They were about a mile away from the hotel, but they didn't know that. They've no idea. They haven't got sat navs back then. And Oba approaches them. He can see them in the car. They're looking, they're parked. They're looking for, I presume through a A to Z. And when he comes up and he says, look, I can see you look a bit lost. And they're like, yeah. He's like, well, can I help you? And they're like, yeah, we're looking for here, And he's like, oh, you're not far. Days Inn, it's just over there, it's just over the ice something. They're motorways. But it's about a mile down the road. They're really not that far from it. But while he's talking to them, he's like, look, I can see you're on holiday here. I have a boat. Would you like to come out with me to watch the sunset? It's really, really beautiful. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. That sounds great. So they agree, and he writes down his boat and the way to get to the dock, and they go. And it's believed that when they get on the boat, everything's going really well, and he drives them out into the middle of the bay, and just like with the rape victim from Canada, he switches up on Joan and Michelle and Christe, and he binds them with duct tape. He then, one by one, rapes them as the other 2 are having to watch, because he doesn't duct tape their eyes. He wants them to see what he's doing. Oh, that's his kick. That's what he gets the kick out of. He wants them to see what he's doing. So, he wants Joan to see what he's doing to her daughters. He wants her daughters to see what he's doing to their mom. And he leaves them naked from the waist down. And then he walks away from them for a second, and he comes back with oh my God, comes back with the rope. Okay. And what he does, I can't think of the name, the cinder blocks, sorry. Comes with the rope and the cinder blocks. Okay. And he ties a knot to the cinder block. And then on the other end of the rope, he makes a noose. Right? And then we don't know in what order he did this to the girls, but we know he did them one at a time. And he stands one of them up. He puts the noose around their neck, and he pushes them off the boat alive while the other two are watching, and then pushes the cinder block over. So they weren't sunk feet first, they were sunk head first. And then he walks back, ties another cinder block, gets the end of the rope, ties that into a noose, puts that over the next girl's head, round her neck, tightens it, pushes her off the boat, and then throws the cinder block over. So she's pulled down head first. And then finally, I don't know who he left last. I don't know who was left last. I really don't. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine that. Whoever was the last one, the fear they must have had. And he gets a cinder block, ties the rope to it. He gets the end of the rope, ties it into a noose, puts that over the last girl's head, tightens it, pushes her off the boat, and then pushes the cinder block. And then he just leaves. I mean, there's a special place in hell. There's a special place in hell for this man. I'm telling you now. So, the prosecution obviously put all this at the trial. Now, he does take the stand for whatever reason. He does take the stand, Oba does. And the prosecution's great. To the point where Obi, stupid name anyway. Sorry, anyone called Obi or Oba, sorry. But I just hadn't heard it before, and it's annoying me. But when he's on the stand, he starts kind of losing his temper with the prosecutor, because the prosecutor's like a dog with a bone, and I'll tell you why. He denies that he was even on the water. He denies he was even in his boat that night. That's his alibi. I weren't there. I weren't on the water. But when they check phone records from his house, I don't know if it's the phone at the bay, because obviously there's no mobiles, but they can connect him to not only being in his boat that night, but to being in his boat the entire night, which is frightening, because does that mean he'd kept them there all night? But they had him on the boat that night. So then when he realises there's no argument to that, he then starts saying, well, no, the reason I was there, my boat was broken, the fuel line had leaked, and I was trying to fix that. So he'd sold his boat. Wow, they'd found his boat that he'd sold and who he'd sold it to, and they took photos of it. And these photos were blown up and brought into the court. And the prosecutor says, right, show me where the fuel line is. Where would it be? And he kind of, you see him going, well, it'd be there. Where though? Oh, the prosecutor was amazing. And Obi even turned around, he says to the judge, I just can't get on with him. While he's on the stand, he's saying this about the prosecutor, and the judge is like, look, he's the best prosecutor in the state. So if I was you, I'd just answer him. So even the judge was like, just answer him properly, because he's not going to give up on this. He genuinely was really good. So he'd already been caught out for lying that he wasn't on the boat, and then admitted he was. Then he couldn't say where the fuel line was. Obviously, the jury's watching all these. Plus, the crime itself was so horrific, so disgusting, so despicable. It took them 1 hour, the jury, just over, I believe, to come back with a guilty verdict. Okay? So then they had to decide what the sentence would be, and the death penalty was on the table. And it was said that a couple of the jury were against the death penalty. They were actually morally against the death penalty, but because they'd had to sit through, and don't forget, they've had to look at photos. They've had to watch this crime happen, because they've seen the photos and the photos of the girls alive, and then obviously everything else. They've kind of seen this happen in a process. Even the ones that were against the death penalty, they voted unanimously for him to be killed. Death penalty, death sentence, whatever it's called, but he got sentenced to death. Okay? So it took a while. Of course, he would appeal, wouldn't he? Of course he would. He'd have to, but he exhausted all his appeals over the next few years. Now, it did take a while. It actually took 22 years from the murder itself. But on the 15th of November 2011, Obi Chandler, was killed by lethal injection. Okay? Now, no apology, no admittance. He had nothing to lose by that point. He could have said anything. And what did he choose to say? Well, he chose to write down, you are killing an innocent man today. Now, Hal was actually there to watch, because you know with the death sentences, you can actually go, can't you? Especially the lethal injection. It's like you're in a room with all the seats, and then the curtains come across and you can see them beyond the glass. So Hal was there to watch that happen. And I can't even imagine how that man is functioning. I just can't. So you might wonder, was it an innocent man? Could it have been an innocent man? Well, I think we know it wasn't. But on the 25th of February 2014, now in 2013, another team was got together, because they believed that they couldn't have been his only victims. They just couldn't have been. It was 3 people being murdered straight off. It's just not something that's normally done with a murderer. They normally build up to something like that. So in 2013, now that DNA and everything else has become so advanced, they get a team together to go over old cold cases. And on the 25th of February 2014, like I say, there was DNA evidence that ID'd Oba as the murderer of, now I'm going to try and pronounce her name, it's Ivelisse Berrios Bejerisi, sorry, who was a 20-year-old girl who was murdered on the 27th of November 1990. So a year after. Actually, it would have only been, yes, it was a year after, wasn't it? It was like 18 months. So 18 months after the murder of Joan and her daughters. And what had happened was, Ivelisse, she'd been at work, and she left with some of her colleagues, and they all went off separate ways to go to their cars in the car park. And when she got to her car, both of her tyres were flat on the passenger side. And it's believed that Oba approached her and was like, oh, I can help you. I can take you where you need to go. And it's believed that she went along with him. When she didn't return home that night, her husband obviously phoned the police. And she was found quite quickly. She was found at 1 a.m. duct taped, raped and murdered. She'd been strangled. And it was, the DNA evidence was linked back to Oba, but obviously in 1990, that it wasn't as advanced to be able to link it to anyone at the time. So all I can hope is that gives her family maybe some sort of peace, but they'll never get justice as such because he was already killed by lethal injection 3 years previous. So that's very sad. The whole thing's just awful, absolutely awful. That's why I've called it the harrowing Joan, Michelle and Christe Rogers story. Okay. Oh, I know there was a lot of chopping and changing there. It was a very involved case, but I really hope I've done that one justice because it really is horrific. Just I can't imagine what the Joan and her daughters went through. I can't imagine how has felt all these years later. It's 36 years. Now I believe. So if it's 36 years, Christe would be 54. I think, no, sorry, Michelle would be 54. I think Christe would be 13. Oh, God, my maths has took a hit. My maths has took a real hit. She'd be 49. I think I might have really botched that up, but I should have written it down. But I just can't imagine. I can't imagine how went through. I really can't. But yeah, like I say, that was the harrowing Joan, Michelle and Christe Rogers story. So thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I genuinely do. Like I say, I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 p.m. If you'd like to join me, I'd appreciate that. Or if you just even drop a like in, that'd be great too. But I'm back on Thursday at 8 p.m. if you'd like to join. And yeah, just thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you soon. Take care. How are we, guys? How are we? Are you there? I haven't even seen you. I haven't seen it. Have you even? Are you there? Is anyone there? Is anyone? Are you still there? Have I lost you all? Please tell me you're all still there after me. Oh, okay. I panicked then. I was like, oh my God, have I just finished all that story and like you haven't heard it or there's been no sound or something? I was really panicking then. I was like, that's a long story. I was like, please tell me you just heard all that. Oh, that's okay then. That's good. That's good. Yeah, my imagination is the best of anyone. I'm glad she's actually listening to me. That's not like you lot. Was you actually following along with the story? My goodness. Got myself confused a little bit. I thought I'd laid it out. Right? I think sometimes when I'm making my notes, I know what I mean. But then when I come to explain it to you, I'm like, I haven't worded that right at all. I think and I genuinely do. Like I say, I really try and write out, like, really, like, wow, and make sure I can see it and everything. But oh, thank you. Yeah, but I always end up messing up something. I was like, oh God, I've done that wrong. But as long as it was okay to follow, that's okay. Oh, you were very quiet this evening. That's crazy. Is Warwick still here? He's very quiet. I saw one comment from him and I haven't seen him again. Oh, Warwick, you are still here. Oh, no way. You've all listened to me. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. It was a horrendous story, though. I did tell you. It's awful. The documentary, oh, goodness, I've watched a few on it now. Oh, thank you, sis. What's the documentary it was now? It's not like Forensic Files. It's one of those. Very interesting. Really interesting. Hi, Tom. Oh, thank you. I didn't realise there's anyone else here. Thank you, Tom. Oh, that's good. Oh, I feel better now. I started to panic halfway through. I was like, none of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. Oh, yous are all too kind. You're too kind. I'll watch it back now and I'll be like, no, cut that up. Cut that up a royal treat. Yeah, I did want to do that one though, because I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, oh my God, that's awful. That's absolutely awful. But thank you all joining me though. Thank you. It's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I genuinely didn't think it'd be that long. Has Jessica not joined us this evening? Jessica said she was going to come in. She actually said, I'll see you on... Or did she say, oh no, I think she said, hopefully see you on Tuesday. I think hopefully. Oh, I thought she meant because of me. Maybe she meant because of herself. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe that's why. Maybe she couldn't join. Because I thought she'd be in, but that's okay. That's okay. It was all. At least she's got to follow along tonight. No, Phil, what did you do with that? Is it you, Phil? Thomas says he's got a bottle of After Sun. Do you know what? I can't touch After Sun. It just stings way too much. It seems to have got redder while I was doing the story. I noticed that. Do you want to see my new fan, guys? That's my new fan. It took the life of me. It's my new fan. God, I've gone even redder than I was. I might just stick to my other one actually. It's one of them really like high-powered blowers, but it doesn't have to take your breath away if you're not careful. You have to be really careful when you turn it on. It's only little, but oh my God, I might just stick with my normal fan. But yeah, look, the face has got redder even during the story. That's ridiculous. God knows what I'm going to look like tomorrow morning. When I see you Thursday, it's just going to be ridiculous. 2 red teas in chat. 2 red teas in chat. 2 red teas in chat. Took it back. It did. It literally. Jesus, gestural purpose. Yeah. Honestly, a good sign. Honestly, I don't. It's really good, but it just took... And that wasn't even as high as it goes. It's like a proper blower, but you have to be really careful. But I'm just going to stick to me. Do you know what? I've got neck ones. I've got a massive snap-on one. I don't know if you know that snap-on brand. I've got so many, but they're so noisy. I couldn't see where I dumped. You have to be careful, Phil. You have to be careful where you're dumping people. You can't just dump them anywhere if you don't know where you put them. You'll have to just stick a bell on her next time. Just put a bell or something that rings on her so we can hear her. Yeah, I don't know where she's gone. I don't know. She'll probably comment later. God, I really had to go with my hair there as well. Snap-on brand. It's like I've got a big Snap-on fan. It was really expensive, but it's very good. It's very, very good. But that's way too noisy. Way too noisy for down here, to be honest. But it's very good. Tiffany does like that one. It's the one I brought to yours that once, Tiff. It's really good, but it's a bit on the noisy side. I can't get away with it down here. But that's what I could do with. My God, it's warm tonight. It's supposed to carry on for the week, which I love, but I think I might not venture out there tomorrow. I think I've had enough. of it today. Wouldn't it be good if it goes brown, though? It'd be fab if it goes brown. I don't think it will, though. I don't think it will. I think it's going to blister peel, and I'm going to be white again the next time I see you. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to try and put my little ones to bed. I say my little ones, they're massive. I don't know why I say little ones. They're huge. They're not little anymore. They're towering me. I'm confused about Tom's comment. Yeah, me too. I didn't know what to say, though, because I thought, is it me? I didn't know what it meant either. Tom, explain yourself. But yes, it is. It's jingle time. God, that was a bit loud. Red tea icon. Tom, you're going to have to explain yourself. Red tea icon. Oh, I think he's on about... Are you watch? Oh, no, hers is orange. Oh, I don't. No? Tom, you're going to have to explain yourself. I'm so confused. What do you mean? Red tea icon. Tom, are you Tyler? No, I was thinking, is it the T's? Like, you're a T, he's a T. But I was thinking maybe your icon's red, but I don't know. I'm grasping at straws. I don't know. Tom, I was trying to help you out. You sure you're not Tyler? Don't know. Speak English, Tom. We're very confused, Tom. Help us out. Help us out. What did you mean? Because we don't know. In the meantime, I'm going to do my jingle, and hopefully you'll respond, and you can shed light on what you were saying. But if you are watching now, as you are, could you go in after? Riddles ain't welcome me. Oh, Tom, you've angered them now. They're going to come after you now. Explain yourself before they all let loose. Yes, it is orange. It is orange. Yes, not red. Who said it was red? I was on about my face is red. Yeah, I'm going to do the jingle, though. We're going to do the jingle. Tom, I'll tell you what. You've come at a good time because you get to see my jingle. You're going to be excited. Okay, so if you could comment after or pop a like after, I'd really appreciate it. Or you could just comment, subscribe, guys. Comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it if you could comment and subscribe. That'd be amazing, guys. Comment and subscribe. Oh, I shouldn't do that because I go red at the best of times. I can't. This can't go redder. So I'm gonna have to calm it down until this fixes itself. But thank you so much for joining me, guys. Thank you to Warwick and Phil and Tiffany, my moderator extraordinaire. Put the lotion in the basket. Yes, I had to put it in the basket. No, that's the Muppets again. Anyway, and Tom, thank you for joining us this evening. I really appreciate it. You have to have a thick skin and speak normal, not in riddles. They'll hunt you down, Tom. They will. But thank you so much. And I'll see you all on Thursday. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you all Thursday. Don't know what story I'm bringing to you, but I'll have it for you on Thursday. I've got an idea. So, or else you get that voice again. Get off my life now. I'll see you all Thursday. Take care, guys. Have a lovely couple of days. Thank you, Tiffany. I'll see you all Thursday. Comment, subscribe, guys. Thank you.